All right, here we go with our daily fuel. We are moving through the New Testament in a year. We are in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And if you've been to a wedding, there's a good chance that you've heard this scripture read. It's one that's read very often in weddings. But it has more meaning than just what happens at weddings. We had just talked about spiritual gifts, and we ended with asking the questions in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Are all apostles? No. Are all prophets? No. Are all teachers? No. All have different tongues? No. All have gifts of healing? No. Then eagerly desire the greater gifts. And I will show you a more excellent way. A more excellent way than what? It seems like a more excellent way than the gifts. And what could be better than that? Let's see. If I speak, chapter 13, 1 Corinthians, if I speak in tongues or languages, glossolalia, of men and of angels, but do not have love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. So, tongues of angels? Angels have a language? Apparently. What language is that? I guess it's angel language. And if I speak in the tongues of men, in the languages of men, in the languages of angels, which would be sort of phenomenal, right? If I was sitting here speaking in the tongues of angels. But if I don't have love, it's just a bunch of noise. It's just a bunch of noise. If I have the gift of prophecy, now he had just talked about the gift of prophecy, and the gift of prophecy seems to be somewhat celebrated and, something that we would desire to have. And the Apostle Paul will talk about it, and he'll say, I wish you all would prophesy. Well, if I have that gift to be able to prophesy, and if I fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that moves mountains, I like that faith that would move a mountain. If I don't have love, I am nothing. Nothing without love. The supremacy of love. Love is a greater path than the path of power. Love is a greater path than understanding mysteries and having, knowledge. It's a better path. It's a higher path. It's a more excellent path than knowledge. Be nice to have a lot of knowledge. Be better to have a lot of love. If I give all I possess to the poor and give my body over to hardship, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain absolutely nothing. So this seems to indicate that you can do works that are good, that you can do works of charity that really don't come from love. They just come from me wanting to boast and maybe get my picture somewhere or get my accolade or get people saying, wow, I can't believe that guy gave that much or that guy did that. So if I don't have love, then I gain nothing. I gain nothing. It might look like there's something there, but there's really not much there except me just wanting you to notice me. You could probably notice me if I wore a cap with a helicopter spinner on the top. And you'd notice that too. So what's so great about being noticed? Now, one thing that they say, I heard this early on in my Christian experiences, you want to take these things here, these characteristics, and you want to impose your name in there. So it says, love is patient. So blank, put my name. Joe is patient. Joe is kind. And measure ourselves against this. And as simplistic as that is, it just seems kind of like a simple little exercise, a silly little exercise. It's pretty valid, right? That this is what I want to weigh myself against, not whether I prophesy, which is a gift, right? I mean, if you have the gift of prophecy, it's because God gave you that gift, and And you can prophesy because you wouldn't know these things you're prophesying about unless he gave it to you. So he gives you something and you just sort of spew it off and tell it off. So that's really great. But love, patient. And what's so interesting about this, I said that this is often read at weddings, right? So this is not like easy stuff. Love is patient and love is kind. And so we're reading that as though like, oh, isn't this wonderful? So what we're going to do is we're going to enter into, 70 years of bliss where, we're just going to be so patient. We're just going to be so kind. It's going to be so wonderful. Well, it would be wonderful if we're always kind and if we're always patient. I'm reading the NIV. It says love is patient. Go back to the King James. The King James says love is long suffering. And what does that mean that love is long suffering? It means it suffers for a really long time. That's what it means. It means it suffers for a really long time. Love is patient and love is kind. It doesn't envy. It doesn't boast, and it's not proud. It doesn't dishonor others. Love doesn't put people down. It's not self-seeking. I think a lot of what passes as love is just, again, it's just self-seeking, seeking attention, seeking admiration, seeking respect, seeking notoriety, being somebody. Oh man, it's not self-seeking. It's not easily angered. Not easily angered, and keeps no record of wrongs. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? The record of wrongs. So interesting how you ever hear this statement, maybe in a conversation, maybe in a relationship. You do that all the time. Really? Like, when do I do that? You do it all the time. I don't think I do that all the time. When do I do it? Well, you remember when your mother was over and that was like, that was my birthday, wasn't it? That was like 6 years ago. And so it's sort of record of wrongs, like standing on that and remembering what somebody did wrong and then assuming that they're going to do that again. And we just pick up on that. We just compound that. Well, it doesn't keep a record of wrongs. Let it go. Comes back to that thing that Jesus said, right, to Peter. How many times should I forgive? 7 times. No, 70 times 7. Don't build on a record of wrongs. Love doesn't delight in evil, but it rejoices in the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. Now, those are 3 big things, right? Always protecting, always trusting, always hoping, always persevering. Boy, those are big, difficult things. I've been learning the first part of that one, it always protects. So when I hear people talking about people, because people like to talk about people, it's what people like to do, I try to protect people by saying, well, I know them, and if you knew, and just trying to protect them, because maybe they're talking about something somebody actually did, but you can still just sort of protect people. Be a barrier in those conversations, in that gossip, in that, putting people down. But love never fails. Where there are prophecies, they'll cease. Where there's tongues, they'll be stilled. Where there's knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, we prophesy in part, doing the best we can, comes through human beings, all of this stuff. But when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. Children think the whole world revolves around them. They've done studies with that, those things that twirl around over cribs. They say kids really think that, it's the whole world is revolving around them. That's how children think. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. I was about 30 years old and I read that verse and I thought, I haven't put childish things behind me yet. I'm still thinking like a child, reasoning like a child. I think the whole world revolves around me. For now we see only a reflection in a mirror, but then we'll see face to face. Now I know in part, then I'll be fully known. And then I'll know fully, even as I'm fully known. Now these 3 remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. It's all about love. The mark of the Christian is love. It's not a bumper sticker. It's not a lapel pin. It's love. So how will they know that we're Christians? They'll know we're Christians because of our love. It's really that simple. Can we keep it that simple? They'll know we're Christians because of our love. Let's keep it right there. And let's not depart from that. So, hey, bless you guys. Love one another. Love, love, love. All you need is love. Hey, bless you guys. Love you.